On this channel, we love to push the limits of what's possible in Payday 2. Whether that's in how we can heist at the speed of sound, or in how we can be conductors of our own assault waves, there's always more to learn and further boundaries to push in this massive 9-year-old game. Today, we're going to be talking about everyone's favourite topic in Payday 2, damage. Big damage is something every build craves, every heister claims to put out, and every bulldozer lives in fear of. But after the ridiculous one-shot crossbows were nerfed all those years back, I'm not sure we've known the true meaning of big damage ever since. Which is why in this video, we'll be discussing the absolute highest damage number you can achieve within Payday 2, to blast dozers, SWAT turrets and even heavily armoured triad leaders out of existence. Logically, let's start with the weapons of mass destruction. Very few options in Payday 2 deal more than 1000 damage a shot. Out of those, only 3 can easily fall into the ultra-high 3600 damage category, required to kill every unit type outside of Captain Winters and bulldozers in one shot on any difficulty. The Thanatos 50 cal sniper rifle, the Commando 101 rocket launcher, and the HRL-7 rocket launcher. Out of those 3, there's a clear winner when just talking about base damage. The HLR-7 deals a maximum of 12,500 splash damage, enough to wipe almost anything off the map instantly. But compared to the numbers we're about to delve into, this is child's play. You see, launcher type weapons receive no damage buffs from player skills and, most importantly, cannot crit or headshot. A weapon like the Thanatos can do both with ease. So let's go a little deeper into the highest potential damage weapon in Payday 2, the Thanatos 50 cal. This thing deals 3,500 base damage, but a cool 3,675 when you have the additional 5% damage from the Fast and Furious perk. Oh, and to make things even better, the sniper class of weaponry was buffed by the damage range multiplier update, meaning this thing gets up to 1.3 times the damage it usually would when firing from roughly 30 meters away, taking us up to a running total of 4,777.5 damage per bullet without additional skills equipped. But here is where the fun begins. Outside of pistol and shotgun exclusive multipliers, the Thanatos can draw additional power from every other damage increasing skill in the game. Starting from the bottom, we'll want Underdog for a 15% bonus when surrounded by 3 or more enemies, Overkill for a 75% increase for 20 seconds after picking up a shotgun kill, High Value Target Basic for 15% damage to marked enemies, and the Aced version for a further 50% to those marked targets that are more than 10 meters away. Immediately, this means that our potential damage versus special enemy types will always outdo potential damage to regular enemy types. Finally, we have Berserker, which grants up to 100% increased range weapon damage when at incredibly low health. I've manually set my health to 0 in this footage, just so that we can push the boundaries of what's possible, but do keep in mind that this absolutely confers an advantage and is considered cheating by most when used online. Seeing all this in action, outside of Underdog, which is impossible to activate on the standard enemy spawner, we cap out at 28,875 damage per shot to the body on a minigun dozer at the max damage range. With Underdog additionally procced, you can expect damage to fall somewhere in the region of 33,200 damage, which is reasonably impressive and our current record holder, but honestly, baby numbers compared to what we'll see later on, because of course, headshots exist, and so too does the possibility of critical damage. When we consider headshots, there's one enemy type that should immediately spring to mind. Surprisingly, it isn't a cloaker, it's the humble SWAT turret. The glass targeter on these things actually takes a whopping 100 times headshot damage, which is seriously insane. Just looking at the base numbers of weapons like the Thanatos, this is a massive jump in potential damage. But wait, why is it that my ultra-powerful, fully spec'd out Thanatos is hardly leaving a dent? In fact, no matter what I do, I don't seem to be able to exceed more than 41,510 damage per shot fired. Well, to put it simply, single instance damage to all turrets is capped at this level, likely to prevent us from one-shotting them with a build such as this. This is also why it's the generally fast fire rate, low damage weapons which actually tear them up quickly. Pretty illuminating. So, whilst 41,510 is still a good amount of damage, it doesn't come close to what we can dish out when uncapped. Take for instance, the Bulldozer. We already know that these guys take over 30,000 damage when shot normally by the Thanatos. But what if we throw in some chance to crit with Low Blow and Unseen Strike? For those still unaware, crit damage will apply the usual headshot damage multipliers on incidents, which can stack with actual headshots. Those are slightly unique in that they take a standardized 5 times damage bonus when crit, but that means even without a headshot, we can deal over 166,000, which definitely breaks the 48,000 health threshold of Death Sentence minigun dozers, the tankiest moving enemy type in the base game. If we want to get even crazier with it, what about throwing in the helmet popping perk for 25% increased headshot damage and aiming for their heads? Well, on Overkill, where dozers have their highest headshot multipliers of 15 times, we'd be dealing roughly 25 million damage. Yeah, that's pretty huge. Now, they only have 6,000 health on Overkill, so more than 99% of that damage is completely wasted, unless, as you can see from the footage, you're playing on Crime Spree. This mode allows enemy health and damage to scale indefinitely, growing to absolutely insane numbers you're seeing via my HUD. Crime sprees this high are virtually impossible to farm up legitimately, but thanks to the power of leeching from others and the 3.5% catch-up bonus, it's possible for me to reach these dizzying heights and aim to hit the highest damage shot ever seen. Before I go any further, a huge shout out to Uncle Gilgil, who carried me through a few CS heists at the 80 million level so I could record this footage. He's a top high crime spree player who's also attempted challenge runs such as my no shooting one, and I seriously recommend you check him out if you haven't already. This video would not have been possible without his assistance. That said, after I'd embarrassed myself on enough of these runs, I was finally able to fight units with the sort of health pool that could make use of my disgustingly powerful sniper rifle. From prior calculations, it wasn't going to be the dozer that was going to allow me to break records, it was the cloaker. These guys take the most headshot damage outside of the turret at 18 times, meaning according to my vague calculations, a non-crit headshot should hit them for just under 600,000 damage, and if I rolled that 35% chance for the jackpot, a whopping 10 million plus damage shot would be mine. After hours of fiddling around with what is a pretty buggy mode at this high end, with crashes and lost progress, I finally had the dream run, using my Dragon's Breath shotgun to proc overkill on a beat cop, marking for high value target, and headshotting this cloaker in a shot heard around the world for an almighty 8,978,301 damage. Absolutely the highest damage number I have ever seen, but not the highest physically possible. I actually could have dealt more damage from the damage range multiplier and was seemingly missing the damage bonus from Underdog just as the shot went off. Even so, this is a proof of concept. I'm positive it's possible, and I'm issuing you guys the challenge to deal even more than I have here. Because for right now, I'm almost certain that I've hit one of the highest damaging bullets in Payday 2's history. However, even if you land a similar shot with all multipliers at once, there's still a way to deal more damage within the game. You may be familiar with the concept of damage granularity. I've mentioned it before in previous videos, but it's an important mechanic which actually allowed me to pick up an overkill stat from that beat cop. Basically, enemy health, no matter how high, will always be divided into 512 segments, such that any instance of damage is equal to at least 1 out of 512. This means that if you're on a high enough crime spree for enemy health to be in the 5 billion region, you can deal over 10 million from a single hit of any weapon due to granularity. However, I would like to point out that I was on an over 80 million crime spree level when farming with Uncle, and even then, this cloaker was only taking 14,500 damage from my Dragon's Breath, which suggests to me that you need to be on such an astronomically high crime spree to reach this damage. It's unlikely the Payday engine will be able to handle it. Just know that in theory, there's no limit to the amount of damage you can do, but in practice, if you can hit above 10 million and send me proof, I will be immensely impressed. But now we've seen just how much damage this strange setup can pump out at the higher end, let's just quickly talk about application. There is definitely room for builds such as these, especially on mid to high crime sprees where killing is still the dominant strategy. I don't know if I'd bother with additional skills such as low blow and overkill, but you can still make this work with a high utility secondary like the Brothers Grimm. I'm not saying I recommend this playstyle, but seeing big damage numbers can be seriously fun at times. Interestingly though, there are a couple of enemies in the game that can withstand this build, even at its most optimised. Of course, we already know that the SWAT van turret can, but it does so by cheating. Crazily though, the most recently added boss enemy in the game, Yufu Wang, is also able to survive a shot. This is because you can only access damage from Underdog, Berserker and Overkill, and his headshot multiplier is only at 1.5 times and can't be hit without a crit proccing. This means that the highest possible damage we can do to his 32,400 health pool is 29,615 on death sentence. Don't get me wrong, it will still destroy what is probably the toughest boss enemy in the game, but it is a tiny bit disappointing that it can't do it in one shot. Which, to complete my one punch gauntlet, I cannot stand by. You see, certain ranged weapons will almost always hit harder than melee, the Thanatos included, but thanks to multiplicative skills like Bloodthirst and Overdog in the Infiltrator perk deck, we can actually hit some pretty insane numbers fairly easily with just this ice pick. As you see, by combining Overdog and with Bloodthirst, Pumping Iron and Berserker, and additionally rolling a crit on the second fully charged swing, I'm able to exceed 2.7 million damage with ease. So for even the pesky Yufu Wang, who shut down my Thanatos build, it's not only possible to deal enough damage to two-shot him with Overdog, I can even one-shot him with a well-charged strike. Huge news for those of you with similar one-punch ambitions. As ever, making slightly off-the-wall videos such as this one is an absolute blast, so I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you want to go above and beyond in your support of the channel, do check out Apex Gaming PCs. He is hoping we get more news of Payday 3 in the coming months, making an upgrade very much worthwhile. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, let me know what the max damage you've ever dealt in Payday 2 is, and I'll see you all very soon. As ever, thank you very much to my Mean Infamy patrons and above. If you want to join that infamous club to see yourself in the credits or get early exclusive access to my videos, including the story videos, check out my Patreon link below. Remember, the Discord is open to all if you crave some more Payday discussion. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you all very soon for the next one.